usual. We're actually going across like a ton of stuff right now. So we're on YouTube, live stream, and Facebook Live. So a little bit of an interesting scenario here, but should be fun. Feel free to open up, chat, ask questions. I'll try to keep up across every platform that we're streaming across tonight. But yeah, it should be a fun night. We're going to be tying a few patterns. First, well, second up, we're going to be tying this big, nasty rainbow pattern, which should be super fun. And but first off, we're going to be tying this little golden stone pattern. Not necessarily just only a golden stone. What's up, man? This is great. Right on, right on.
From Loon Outdoors tonight.
We're going to mute that really quick so not to confuse people. And we'll open up chats everywhere. So feel free to ask questions. So this is our little stone right here. We got this guy. You guys can see it over here on the Instagram. And then we got this big beast over here. So, Bob, what's up, man? Joel Fenton, howdy, howdy. Welcome and hello. So, yeah, I hope Irma doesn't destroy anybody. That would be horrible, Aiden. Guys, for those of you on live stream just tuning in, we're testing every capability of live streaming at once out of my house. Hell yeah, you did. What's up, man? How's it going? So, Aaron, what's up? Ahoy, ahoy, buddy. Welcome. So, so first up, I'm going to tie that stonefly pattern, and we'll go ahead and zoom in here on the vise as usual. Bobber Neon, what's up, man? So, let's go ahead and zoom in on the vise. Cool. So I'm going to scoot the vise over just a hair, and we'll focus in there. So the first hook that I'm going to be using is a Ahrex. It's a NS156. It's actually a shrimp pattern. 3 feeds, yes. Nice. Nice. Hell yeah, you did. Awesome, man. Yeah, so 3 different feeds going at once. We had to up the ante. Loon said 1 wasn't enough, and they wanted everything to be streamed everywhere, simulcast into magic worlds of everything. Would that work on the white? Absolutely. I'm sure it would. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw, this is that NS155. It's a shrimp hook, but it's super strong. It's got a lot of strength behind it and a lot of really, really, you know, good characteristics. I kind of like it. It's a straight eye. And this is a 1/8 inch Insta-Jig bead. And you have to put it on beforehand. Fly tying videos and football at the same time. Oh, it's a football night? See, I got to get with my team sports here. I don't know these kind of things. So, anyways, thread I'm going to be using is a Vivas 50D. It's a GSP thread. It's nice and light. And we're going to wrap this down in. Been waiting for this all day. This might be too much. You never know. There's no such thing as too much, Brandon. I promise you that. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Insta-Jigs, I'll show you kind of a photograph of them. This happens to be just a different color. This is a mottled olive. I'm using a mottled brown. You have the same vise. Awesome. And you can kind of see they look kind of like a kettlebell of sorts. The weather in Reading, it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. We had lightning, thunder, 1/4 inch of rain this morning, power outage. Soon they'll have me wearing a body camera. Yeah, actually, that's the next step. They want one going back so it can just go infinite. Argentina, what's up, man? The gram is way ahead of the live stream. It's only New England. Hey, Carl, how's it going? So, anyways, now that we're here, we'll go keep working. So the dubbing I'm going to be using tonight, and I'll show this to you guys. I'll show you the color on it. This is a Dave Whitlock SLF blend. It's a golden stone dubbing. And I get this through Hairlines, so it's kind of cool. It's a pretty cool little blend of dubbing. It's kind of Dave Whitlock's KFC style secret end of blend of herbs and spices, if you will. Can you use that bead for a balance leech? Absolutely. Probably one of the biggest benefits to this bead, if you're using it on a long shanked hook, is that you can create balance leech, or say on a jig hook. You can hide it in the gut of that and not have to do that extended pin thing and everything like that. The MySpace feed, I don't know. Is Tom still everybody's friend? I can't even speak to the status of MySpace anymore. So let's see. Do I tie flies professionally? No, I just pretend to. Are you live on Friendstarter? I don't even know what that is. Aaron, if you're messing with me, don't mess with me. You'll really start screwing with me because you're posting on both live streams. So, what I'm going to do, these are just a little gold biot here. It feels pretty good. Yeah, catching your flies on your own, or fish on your own flies is pretty legit, man. It's probably one of my favorite things. I can't remember the last time I fished a store-bought fly, to be perfectly honest. So I'm just going to put these in, and you'll see that they make like a nice little split tail. And that's just going to be what our tail segment's going to be made out of. New England. That's the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not a big foosball guy, but that's alright. Okay. So next up, what I'm going to use, power bait and trot lines. Quit live stream, it's not so live. Well, it's, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. Standard tubing, this is a dark golden stone. You can use any color that you want. Power bait and trot lines. Man. Tricks to getting that is do them one at a time. Lay them in, take a loose wrap, and then tighten down. That's my big trick there. So I'm going to take some of this golden stone colored tubing, and I just like to stretch it out a little bit, and I'm going to set it down here for a second. And next up, I'm just going to get some brown uni wire, so you guys can all see that. And yeah, David, if you just take the time, put them in one at a time initially. The split, the trick to the split is to flip them. Also, if you flip them over, you oppose it because they have like a curvature. So as you split them, that curvature sits apart, and then you just tie them in. I call it like the 9 and 3 position. Wesley asked a good question. As an aspiring tyer over on the live stream, I need a good online source to order supplies. I don't have a local outfitter. You going now? I don't have any tips for Middle Tennessee fly fishing. Wesley, that's a great question, and I'm just got a ton of stuff going on here, which is usually pretty okay with my ADD. You know, there's a ton of good online retailers. Just to name a few, you have, you know, the Fly Shop, let's see, Fly Fish Food, TCO, Bob Marriott's, Caddisfly. Just kind of take your pick, man. They're all going to serve you up really properly. And all of those shops carry a great assortment of materials, and the guys know what they're talking about, so even if you had to call, you'd be able to get the right beta that you would need. Let's see. Oh man, Ebbs Force 1, let's see. Hold on. This thing, people are upvoting the fly fish food. You can put the dubbing ball in the back to splay the tails, that's true. Let's see. Right on, right on. Wyco, behave. Oh, geez Louise. Nailed it. Yes, I just slid the wire into the tubing and I put a little bit of spit in there. It's kind of like a lubricant. I have to pardon my continuous coughing here. I think I have the Black Plague, which is rampant in these parts. Oh no. Gotta grab something. We've kicked stuff off the table again. Always happens. It's just the way I operate. I love kicking stuff off the table. Alright, back. So next up what I do is I put a slight underbody using our same don't spread the plague to our fish. Fly fishing for life. I'm doing a golden stone. So this is some more of our golden stone dubbing, and I'm just going to do standard on the thread dubbing style here. All I'm going to do is work this forward, nice and thin. You can see I'm not really bulking this up a ton. And if I need a little bit more, that's fine, we have it. Our fish out here have already had a solid beating this year. Unfortunately, they experienced 85,000 CSF flows for over a month sustained. So, just kind of keep kicking those little spiky sections backwards. Good trout fly, yes, absolutely. Also, if you're into steelheading, I guess dudes really fish golden stones everywhere for everything. So, you could also nymph your steelhead with it. And all I'm going to do here is just wrap forward, creating some really good body segmentation. And typically the tubing is going to help you separate this. Just create the really, really nice spacing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of people focus on crazy perfect fishing flies, and it's not totally needed. I'd rather have people just focus on getting out and going fishing. Big Sky. Golden Stone, Mr. Big Sky. And I'll just go ahead and chop that. So what's going to happen here is you can see this bead. It's going to actually turn this standard hook into a jig hook. And it should end up being pretty darn cool. On the Bobber Neon, thanks man. Appreciate it. Where are the Perdigons at? Yeah, no Euro nymphs tonight. Hey Chris, welcome to the stream, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another little dubbing ball of our golden stone dubbing, and I'll kick this little Insta jig bead out of the way for a hot second here. And this is just going to be our leg prop. Where can I get those beads? They're sold by Hairline Dubbing, so most fly shops will deal with Hairline and they can order them for you. I'm sure they have Braden Bowden, just say my name and I'll leave. So I'm using the 4-inch razor scissor here. I could destroy carp with that morsel. I bet you could. I bet it would be a good little carp fly. And what I'm going to be using, this is just a little hen feather, and I don't want any of the real beefy stuff down here in the bottom. I don't want the legs to be super, super long. But what I'm going to do is I just cut chevrons out of these for my legs. And what I'm doing is, you can see I just cut the feather, and what I'll do is I'll just pull out these sections. And if you buy decently good hen feathers, you can have them be pretty equal. A lot like I do with our the legs or the tail segment there, all I'll do is I just put it in there each at a time, and you're going to get this cool little setup here. Joel says this would be a good anchor fly. Absolutely, Joel. You can definitely, you could bulk it up a bit with an underbody of like non-lead wire. It's pretty heavy with a 1/8 inch tungsten bead at this point, so it would work out. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate you chiming in there and getting some links going. That was nice of you. So, Insta-jig. Which light are we talking about? So, don't worry, Wyco. We just booted him. We took care of that. Oh, the light. It's September. Well, my favorite Loon scissor. Let's see. Hold on. Old boy was getting a little squirrely, so we had to kick him out. The beads. What are they called? Insta-jig bead. Which one? Are we talking about this poster right here? You're busy. Keep time. Oh, the beads are called Insta-jigs. So I'm going to take another pinch of our golden stone dubbing here, and this is going to become a dubbing loop. So I've pulled a small dubbing loop here, and I'm going to go ahead and feed some of this golden stone material straight away in there. The Instagram boys are far more chatty than the live stream boys tonight, so it's kind of interesting. It's a picture of Cheech. So what I'll do is I'll spin this up here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do some wraps. So you guys can see what I'll do here is I just go kind of front and the back, and we're going to move this up front, and we'll just pause there for a second. So once I have this tied in here, we're going to do some antenna. Hurry up and get to the streamer, people say. Wow. Alright, there's streamers, but I like golden stones. So again, these are going to be our same biots, gold. This happens to be a turkey biot if you have goose biots. So you can see what I've done here, guys, just because we got questions, is I opposed their angles. That helps them splay out, and I just kind of slide them back. And I'll just take one loose wrap till I get them kind of where I want them to be. And I don't really care that the front ones, get a little willy-nilly. It's not a big issue for me. If I had the time to pull hot links, Bob, that would be awesome. Quiet stream. Okay, so now that we have those guys in there, what I'll do is I'll take a little bit more of our leg segments, wherever I've knocked that down to on the ground. I think we'll have to get a new one. It is copper wire that I slid through. You can use copper, brown. You can also do, other colors of this. You could do this thing all brown in like a size 4, and get really big with this for like, your big salmon fly hatches. Thanks, Chris. You can go really smaller and, do something like a squala, or get really techie if you're so inclined and do, little yellow sallies the same way. Fished a variation of this summer and spring on a lot of our rivers here in Northern California, and it did quite well. Chiefs or Patriots? Nobody. I don't watch football. Waste of time. I've work to do. So I'll just go ahead and pull just a little bit more of this dubbing through, and once we get up front here, I'm just going to kind of hook the rest of that dubbing loop and move it right, because it's sitting right at the eye right now, and just work around a few times to hold it in, and then we'll go ahead and trim it off. We're going to go ahead and whip finish this fly. It's the devil. Foosball's the devil. You guys like Waterboy references. So I'll go ahead and throw a whip finish up front here. It's going to help our antenna to stand up just a little bit. Once we get the UV resin on there, though, it's really going to stand up a lot more. So I just go ahead and trim a pathway here up front. I'm busy drinking Loon Flow. Absolutely. So I'm just going to take some thin with the brush. We'll go ahead and hit it, and it kind of soaks in so you get a good base coat going. And that's going to be our building block here. And like a lot of times when I'm doing repetitive cures, I just leave the light on. A lot of people, you turn it on and off, but sometimes time is of the essence here. So we'll go ahead and put our big dollops in there, and we'll go ahead and hit it one last time. Thanks, Lateras Fishing, I appreciate it. New light. Oh yeah, that's the new light. It's the UV Infinity light. It's rechargeable and comes with battery and charger. Should be out in October. So that'll be a fun little toy to get your hands on. How about that light? So lastly, I'm going to take my dubbing tool here, and we're going to go ahead and bug this out just a ton. So I'm really going to be rough as I can on this fly. I don't really worry about it too much, but you can see you're going to get this really great profile, and you'll have just a really cool looking how much does a light cost? Great question. $59.99. That's going to be the final cost of the new light. In case you guys are a little closer on the live stream, but here's a quick sneak peek of the new light we have coming out. And yeah, so that's basically going to be our golden stone there. You can use it for any of the stonefly nymphs. You can use a lot of the same techniques even for mayfly nymphs, stuff like that. Thanks, the Flybox, appreciate it. So, alright, you guys are like chanting for meat flies, I guess. I want that light. It'll be out soon, don't worry. Don't you worry, my friends. It's a good little teaser, though. I'm going to have to zoom out over here because at the end of the day, this thing's pretty giant, as you can see. Go ahead and have to readjust the whole enchilada system here. But pretty light, easy to operate fly. Not a lot of naturals in there, so it doesn't hold a ton of water. But yeah, I'll give you guys a rundown on this beast. So we're using a nice long shanked wide gap hook, and you guys can see, I mean, comparatively to a hand, it's pretty large. This is a 6/0, and this is the Ahrex. It's the Predator. What is this? The Light Predator 6/0. Absolutely, Brandon. Argentina. It is a Regal. It's a Regal Revolution. Absolutely. Alright. The fly, the last fly, I just call it the bubbleback stone. I don't know why, but it just has that big bubbly weight on the back. So that's just what I call it. And this one I call it the Rainbow Brite, although you can tie it in every color imaginable. And it'll work just about as equally well. You know, your tans, your mullets, your hitches, stuff like that. Great bass fly. You know, you could articulate it if you wanted to. You could run articulation wire and beads and make it like a giant evil 12-inch long musky fly instead of like, or bass fly, instead of like an 8 to 10-inch fly. Yes, I do have some pink ripple ice in there. It's one of my faves right now. Between that and steelheading, the ripple ice fiber definitely plays a great part. So kind of like I did with the stonefly, what I'm going to do here is I create a little bit of a prop, and it's just like a little dubbing bump to keep with that pink theme that, you know, a rainbow trout would have for this specific pattern. No problem, two-story adventure. I'm going to use a little bit of ice dub in fluorescent hot pink. It kind of matches my ripple ice fiber in pink. So I'm trying to get a little bit matchy and matchy. Team Mono Fishing? Absolutely, man. My pleasure. Love tying for people. So I just create a nice little dubbing bump, same way I would on a steelhead pattern if I was trying to build a little area for a, you know, for a little bump in the back of a second stage of a steelhead fly or something like that. What weight rod would I throw this size of a fly on? The fly is actually pretty light, so I mean even an 8 weight would probably get the job done for you. You know, it does fall down to a little bit of like your casting skills. Some guys might be able to throw it on a 7, but every fly rod's different, so it makes it a little bit tough. So this is a grizzly half skin from Hairline. This happens to be olive. I'm going to be using olive, pink, and I got this old hide that made it through the hair feathers days because they weren't long enough, and just a natural grizzly as well. So I'm just going to pull 2, like more of the schloppany feathers. And when you're looking at this, you'll see, like down here at the bottom, you're going to get these much webbier feathers. That's kind of what I'm going for. I saved the rest of them, not for dries or anything like that, but for like my steelhead patterns. So I'm going to pull off 2 of those guys and set the rest of the olive aside. I'll sneak down in here again, and this is that pink. So I'm just kind of mixing it up back there. So we got a couple pinks here that are pretty close to matching. Fancy looking watch. It's my Batman watch. Front or back when selecting the feathers? So where I'm getting the feathers from, I mean, technically the top section is like the top of the bird. This is more towards the back of the bird. So that's where I'm picking these feathers from. So you can see I'm, you know, culling these out of the back of the bird. More near, it's kind of like a, say, chicken rump, almost, if you will. So what I'll do is I'll just take these guys and I'll match them. And all I'm talking about is matching them is there's a shiny side and a dull side behind the feather. And I'll just take the dull sides and put them inside of the fly pattern. Same technique I'm using here as I would with, you know, putting on those buyouts that we did in the last. I put them at, if you're looking at the fly from the front at the 9 o'clock and this 3 o'clock position, and I just kind of hold them in place, do a quick wrap around, and that's going to splay them out nicely and give them some movement. So these guys are kind of sitting up top. Pink's going to go in next. I'm just trying to layer these in as best as possible. So again, and they don't have to be all the same length. Actually, I'd prefer that if they weren't. It's just going to give it a little bit more of a realistic vibe, if you will. It gives it a taper, stuff like that. Sometimes you have to forgive me. I am from San Diego originally, so I get kind of surf lingo-y on people. And last but not least, I'm just going to put in the standard grizzly. And again, I oppose everything from each other. What are my thoughts on Irma? I think it's been really interesting to me, and I understand everybody's peril across the United States. We just had Harvey. We've had more wildfires than I think we've ever needed for at least 2 decades. And I think it's honestly the last thing that I need, or anybody needs in the world, is to have more natural disasters, federal funds, and stuff like that going out. So that's my thoughts on it. I think it's horrible, and I hope everybody lives and is okay throughout the whole duration of that possibility of that storm being just absolutely nasty. Do I care about straightness? You know what? No, I don't. Not in this. These guys I don't think are going to affect this much of a hook gap. The weight of this hook and the width of the gap on this hook is going to help it to track. What do we have going on? We're tying these hair feathers. Rocker. We're tying a rainbow trout actually, but we're using hair feathers. So honestly, one of my biggest thoughts with like Irma and all these natural disasters is I came from an emergency services background, firefighter and paramedic. So makes me want to help. Makes me want to get back to what I was doing sometimes, and I'm happy being here doing what I'm doing, but it's like, man, I know I could help people and do stuff. Probably one of the main first things that comes to my mind too. And all I'm doing here is I'm just kicking in some ice dub in a dubbing noodle, and I'm just creating an openness to this body because we're going to be creating this bulk, and with this bulk what we're using is a Senyo's chromatic brush. And this is a cool blend of natural and synthetic fibers. So it's kind of the secret trick here. What about length, Bob? Oh, you mean length of the feathers? So these feathers are probably sticking out 6 inches past the back of the hook. I don't have a ruler, but you know, I'd call it like a good 6 inches hanging out past the back of the fly. So it's going to be about that's another. We got another inch probably right here in the fore section here with the pink ice dub as the separator to keep it light. We'll probably do another 3/4. So you probably have a good 2.5 inches here. So this is almost a 9-inch fly at the end of the day. Hey Tom, how's it going? What's up, looper flies? Right, White River Gold right here. So what I'm going to do is, like, if you're palmering a feather, I'm going to treat the brush the same way as I'd treat the feather. You can see I'm stroking everything into the same direction so I can get it to build upon itself. And you know, if you guys are into creating your own brushes or dubbing loops here, you could do that as well. It looks like this has probably got some Arctic Fox, some ice dub, and other stuff in there. Wesley on the others. Oh, was thinking about short strikes. You know, man, yeah, you know, I've got short bait on stuff this size, Bob, but a lot of these fish that eat this stuff that's this big, I mean, they're not messing around a lot of times. I mean, they're just getting after it, nasty. And I've had, you know, 2-pound bass eat flies this size. Especially, I fish these on sink tips a lot too, over really deep structure, and it just seems to work out. I miss fish, but, you know, I've never ran a trailer hook on it yet. Wesley says, thank you. He found a vise that an old-timer gave him. Yeah, you know, the best vise is the one that you got, my friend, because you're able to tie some good bugs. Let's see. Manny Hooks joined late, looking really nice. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So all I'm doing here is I'm really just working this like right along the shank of the hook and progressing outwards. If you wanted to get really, really aggressive, you could get like the blend your own dubbing tool. If you guys haven't seen that, it's like this big brush. And if you tie all your materials in good, you can just really work through these kind of patterns and you don't have to worry about it. I do this, I mean, I use this thing a lot on my steelhead flies. And I mean, it really just kind of beats up and pulls any of that loose material out. So this is going to be a fun little trick tip here. Do you ever tie it weedless? You know what, I haven't, just because of the locations that I'm fishing it. I'm fishing it over rocky, deep outcroppings on lakes that, you know, there wouldn't be weeds at that depth, or on like pilings and stuff like that, where fish are suspending to ambush, you know, stocked trout. So this is UV flow. It happens to be fluorescing. You could use regular flow if that's what you have. This is just the bottle that I have at my desk. And I'm actually brushing this onto the material. Next up, I'll just go ahead and hit it with the light. Very, very true, Wesley. Very true. If you can't tie on a basic vise, you probably can't tie on a fancy one. That's a semi-decent assessment there. But at least give yourself a good amount of time to get warmed up on that old beast. So I'm just going to keep brushing this in here. Snack pack sized. Yeah, you could just use shorter materials, and you know, a lot of these brushes and stuff, you can get them in different lengths, and it absolutely would work out just fine that way as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit all of this up with the UV light, and I just give it a good solid, you know, circumferential cure, and we'll turn the light off. Now what you're getting here is, look, this is going to have some rigidity behind it. So that's going to be pretty key in maintaining a good, you can see it's going to flow back in, but you're going to maintain this big profile up front. It's going to push water in case you're throwing this in a... we do have some curing lights available right now. That one's a brand new version. It's coming out soon. But if you're throwing this in dirty water, it's definitely going to, you know, push water, move water, and get a, you know, a good thing going. Rick asked a good question. Dull side out. Rick, actually no, I'm going shiny side out. So, but great question on those back feathers there. You're probably just seeing. This is actually, well, that one went dull side out. My bad. So the side you're seeing, I do have a little bit of a dull side out there. So I stagger my ice ripple just a little bit down the side here, and that's going to become kind of our lateral line area. And I'm just taking a hearty pinch of this stuff. So you probably have about 40 strands if I had to give it a number. Yes, absolutely. It's creating your own cone. It's the same thing I do on my steelhead flies for swing fishing, for steelhead like out on the coast or in any of our anadromous waterways. If I want that fly to have a lot more prop and stability, I can actually just coat a feather like I did this this brush here, and that will it'll help you maintain profile even in the softer water, so your fly can appear a little bit bigger or maintain that, you know, kind of elongated profile, that swooping profile that we're looking for. We're jamming. I like it. That's a good play on words we're jamming. So next up is going to be some craft fur, and we're going to do two different maneuvers here. This is a golden olive extra select craft fur. The color is XCF, which is extra select craft fur 159. If you guys are no problem, Rick, my pleasure, my pleasure. Sorry if I was confusing, because you're seeing one thing and I'm talking another and looking at 6 screens. You know, honestly, I mean, I think bass, great question, carp and bass, they'll both eat a woolly bugger, oddly enough. But woolly buggers are a good beginner fly. I think we did that during our Fly Tying 101 month, and it's a really solid fly for bass. I think it catches everything. I think that's always appropriate when your buddy catches his first tiger muskie ever. Aaron, do I need an assistant? Yeah, I should have like I should ask for that. Woolly bugger, absolutely, Bob. Good. See, Bob's on the same page. Should ask Loon for a Loon Live assistant, like an intern. You know, you answer my questions, get water, prep the materials. I think that would be great fun. I like where your guys' heads are at. We'll be taking applications. I should totally blow somebody's email up, but that'd be alright. So we're going to use extra select craft fur in cream colored. Hey, Mr. Cheech. What's up? What is the difference? I think they only sell extra select. I think other operations might offer a less select version than this. This one's finer and softer than a lot of other craft furs, and it might have more layers of underbody. So if you look at craft fur, there's like the outer layer, and you'll start seeing little guys, you know, progressively like the actual fur of an animal. So I've only ever used Hairline's craft fur though, just as a reference. So I've never strayed. Yeah, just a personal hand masseuse. That's awesome. Fly Fiend. Ultra classic. So you can see I'm kind of just keeping the pink on the sides, the green on the top, and the cream on the bottom for this. And once I have it where I want it, I'll go ahead and wrap it in nice and tight. And we're going to get ready to work forward. So I do leave a little bit of a gap. It's about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Never been fur curious. Nice. 3.5 pound largemouth. Very nice fish for life. Fancy tarpon fly. Alright, so the next move here is I'm going to cut like a pretty hearty chunk of craft fur, so you can see the base here that I'm cutting out. And the one thing you guys probably maybe don't see me doing is I'm taking as much of this underfur, I'm holding really tight with the tip, like towards the tips about 1 inch out, and I just pull all of this underfur out of the fly. The good word would have to be that it rained today, and the air is actually fresh and less smoky. So that's really positive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this in a forward presentation where the tips are being wrapped forward, and I'm going to take a few loose wraps and then really secure. And you can see these little the butt ends of that are going to help it stand up. Exactly, yes. So I'll do the same thing with the cream craft fur on the bottom here, and kind of just discard that to be vacuumed up later. Let me do a little bit of a trim job. And what I'll do is I'll rotate this fly upside down, and I'm just going to set this in there. And again, I'm taking a loose wrap, kind of like stacking deer hair. And you want to keep the cream and the green separate. So once you get up here, you just want to kind of move that out of the way. We can re-put it where it is, where we want everything. And we'll go ahead and just build a little bit of a thread dam that's going to kind of help to push this back. And it does get, this is kind of a cruxy position here to be in. You know, some guys use like hair clips for this, stuff like that. It's okay to laugh. Oh, no thanks, Kev. That's alright. Chuckled the first few times. You were late to the party. Maybe next time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to size up where I want these eyes. And I'm going to take a little bit of, I use time control for this. It's a Loctite. And we're just going to go ahead and put some time control on here. Kev with the fail. Loon bobbins it just squeaks, man. I apologize. I don't know why, but it's the squeaky wheel getting that grease. So I'm going to take the first eye and I'm just going to stick it in there. And fly fish food with the roasting. I love some fly fish food roasts. So just put a good healthy dollop. Another great product for this is actually like Terramender. I know that's what Cheech uses. That's his jam. So I put these eyes right up at the front, and I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze these together. And once I feel like I have them in there pretty good, you can see we have a cool profile. And I put these big eyes on here. Just goes back to Bob's question. Let's see whose question it was. Make sure I'm quoting the right person over here. Short strikes. It was Bob. So fish, I think, really key in on eyes. So I think eyes are like a really big portion to have that fish see that. A lot of fish will go head or side first. So that's going to kind of help you there. I'm using this fly for bass, largemouths, big ones, biggins. So next up, we're just going to take our fluorescing flow. I use the brush. Pike would love it too, absolutely. Depends on the thread. There you go. I only tie with one thread, so I squeak. And you can see you can just take this flow and you can brush it on. And go ahead and cure it, and that's going to help you set up your head for this fly. I called it the Rainbow Brite, and that's the name of the fly, since you've asked. Yeah, you know, spotted bass, like Cheech is saying, you know, a 10-inch bass will eat a 12-inch plastic worm. Spots and smallies aren't much far off when it comes to eating trout that are near their size. They will definitely try. Samuel asks if I'm in California. I am in California. So I'm going to go ahead and cure this. Bob, you're going to need to use that flow. It'll change your day. So I'll go ahead and just put a little coating just to protect the eyes and make this all kind of one piece here. The Bobber Neon one, that was Loctite super glue. It's kind of become my recent jam, if you will. It's because it's easily available to me. Alright, time for the big cure. And I'll just go ahead and rotate this with the flow. Wesley says you always see fish with a fish with another fish's tail sticking out of its mouth. Exactly. So I'm just trying to get him to key in on these eyes here as much as possible. You know, with the glue, I don't really have major eye problems with them coming off. Terramender, Terramender's kind of the same story. If you guys really want to get extra creative, you can take. Oh, here's the glue bottle again, in case anybody was, you know, we've had a few questions about it. So you can also come in and doll this up extra if you feel so inclined and you feel like it's going to make the biggest difference. It does make it look pretty cool if you start modeling your olive and everything like that. Yeah, you can do the old nose trick too if you have a squeaky bobbin. If you don't know that, then it's a good trick to have in the quiver. So I'll just put some dots, just some basic breakup dots. Once it separates, it's going to look pretty fine. But yeah, if you have a squeaky bobbin, the old trick is just to take it and rub it on your nose. What flavor was the glue? Hold on, I'll hold it up so you guys can get a good look at it. Ooh, it's Loctite Extra Time Control. Yeah, so now I've done that little trick, and now no more squeaky. So Wesley asked again, what size rod would I throw this? I'll throw this on an 8. I'd throw it on an 8 with a real aggressive line. I like to use like a Sniper 40 plus type line. I feel like those really get the job done. A little bit longer head, so it actually will carry the fly a little bit further distance. No problem, guys. Nose grease. What a great idea. Yeah, you have to eat 3 burritos before it works, but after that, I mean, you're money. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it, you tuning in. Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate it. Moderately easy to tie. Yeah. I mean, realistically, it's not a ton of tricky steps here. And as you guys can see, it's got a cool big profile, and that hook. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, you've got a lot of hook gap in there. That's the one thing I like about this this Ahrex hook here for this size of fly, is it's just got a really cool amount of hook gap. So if they come in, you have a good percentage. Yes, absolutely, David. Let's see, what's Cheech chiming in about? Loon's nose grease. Yep, we're going to be farming nose grease here soon enough for trickery. That would be really odd. Alrighty. So, thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. Thanks for everybody tuning in. What are they? Let's see. Let's see. Yep, absolutely. Trout burrito. Alrighty, guys. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Next time, we'll have some more fun flies. We'll see you guys all in 2 weeks. Blake asked one more time. This is the Rainbow Brite. It's an old cartoon. Look it up. It's really awesome. So, anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate everybody tuning in across like every streaming platform I think known to man tonight. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care and have a good evening.